Welcome to the August 21st, 2018 episode of Reactive Consciousness, our in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I am your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And PyroJackFrost.
Oh man, back again.
Yes.
Yes. Have you grown a lot since our last meeting?
I have not. I'm the exact... Basically, I was cryogenically frozen, and then... I know you guys just thawed me when you actually want me to
awakened for the podcast.
It's like in Contra where they just thaw out Bill Reiser when they need him to destroy the aliens.
That really sucks because like he's only awake when there's an alien threat. Like he doesn't know what peacetime is like. Well,
it's the same thing. Halo's like that too.
And I guess kind of Demolition Man.
Well, and Alien. Ripley's like that as well. Like they bring her back to. They even brought her back to life just to fight some aliens. So I mean,
that sucks.
Or well, actually, in the fourth one, they brought her back to clone the alien that had impregnated her. So yeah, that's not how cloning works. But okay. But anyway, we have another great show here. We have some neat topics. I did want to quickly mention that I've been really getting both feet into Dark Souls here. I did want to mention that a bit because I know we don't go into like what we played this week a lot, but I'm just excited to talk about it because like you guys have talked about it for so long on the show on how much you like it, and I wanted to be a part of it finally again.
Yep, I'm done with it.
It's too late. We're bored with Dark Souls now. We don't care anymore.
It's everybody's
just change the subject.
It's everybody's favorite series, I know, but it's now something that I'm totally into. I have journeyed into the depths, and boy, man, the game is getting annoying now. So
yeah, you know what's funny is that if you had started the game with the master key, I mean, it's a bad decision.
I could have just gone there.
You could have just skipped the depths. You could have just not have to do it.
I mean, I want it for what the items in there, and
the depths has one of the coolest bosses in the game, and it's not even if you know what you're doing, it's not even that hard. It just hits hard. But if you skip the depths, you'd really better know what you're doing because the next dungeon can be short, but it's
which
brutal.
Boss was in the depths again?
The Gaping Blank.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So, I just beat the Capra Demon, which was basically the gateway into the depths, and that turns into like a regular mook later on, right?
I remember when I played the Capra Demon, I just found so freaking annoying because it's such a small area, and it's him, and aren't there like, isn't it him and two boars or something like that?
No, it's two or three of the dogs. And honestly, the dogs are the real boss. Like once you kill them, the Capra Demon is just a big guy with a sword that you can block. He's a joke by himself. But those dogs just make that fight crazy.
Yeah, the first time I've gotten to the point where in this game, if I'm in a properly if I'm in a level where a part of the game where I'm supposed to be, I found that I'll die once when fighting a boss, and then I'll beat them the second
You'll
time.
learn how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they haven't killed me over and over and over again. So I've gotten to the point where my armor and my leveling and my weapon is good enough for most of the things that I'm trying to do. So. And my skills have gotten good enough where I can be like, I need to step back here. I need to give this guy a little bit more breathing room, so I can drink some Estus or something.
Yeah, and a lot of Dark Souls is blocking or dodging the opponent's strikes and then just love tapping them a couple times. Like it's just waiting for them to make the first move.
Yeah. So I went to the Valley of the Drakes, and a lot of love tapping there. Yeah.
Even when you are high level, those things are pretty scary.
Well, I found that I could fight them okay, but like the big problem is that they take a lot of hits. So
and they have electricity breath.
Yeah, and it you get attacked twice by it. When you get hit by it, so it's just it sucks. So
by the way,
I decided not to go much further, and I picked up that armor set that was there. There's like a dual armor set like right there on that bridge.
I don't think you could even go really much further past the bridge. Like, you can, but it won't help you. That's for later. I will tell you this though: the Drakes, I think, are the only enemy in the game where, if you're lucky, they'll drop dragon scales. So if you want to upgrade your dragon weapons, which again do not scale with you, but if you want to upgrade their base stats, then that's how you do it.
I heard that the dragon sword that I have, the one that I got from the red dragon,
the Hellkite or the Drake sword.
Yeah, the Drake sword is not a good weapon to upgrade. Like, don't waste your time with it.
Well, none of the dragon weapons are really good to upgrade. It's just like they're cool when you pick them up.
Yeah. So it is by far the best weapon that I have right now. However, apparently the game, as I get higher in level, the other weapons will scale better, and also will I can level them up. So
like I said, I beat the game with a broadsword, which you can like start the game with. That leveled up. Plus me leveled up. Like, the Drake sword will have higher numbers on its stats, but your level alters your sword's ability. Your sword gets stronger as you do, so don't let the raw numbers fool you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, hit something with your sword and then see how much damage it does.
So, I've gotten, I guess, to the point in the game where I keep picking up what seems to be cool armor, but I cannot wear it. Like, it's just like...
Well, you gotta level up your strength and endurance. Strength to literally put it on, and endurance to not be encumbered.
Yeah, well, the big thing is the encumbrance right now. I can't roll with any of my... So essentially, you don't want to get over, half of your weight limit?
I mean, ideally 25% when you're really spry, but I play up to 50% because, come on.
Yeah. So, you don't want to get above 50%. So that's what I found. I found that just by experimenting.
Well, again, there will come a point in the game where I forgot where you find this. It was either where you find the rest of this person's armor set, or it's if you take out the person himself. But if you ever find Havel or Havel, whatever, Havel, if you get his ring, that greatly increases your endurance. Not your endurance stat, but like your load capacity. So that's how you get away with some of that.
Well, I'm looking forward to continuing on in the game because I'm going through the sewers right now, and boy, is a pain in the ass.
Watch out for poison. Watch out for poison from the rats, and you already know about curse.
So I had a bit of a Twitter outburst. I got cursed for the very first time, which I didn't know what it did.
You know now. You know what the funny thing is? The funny thing about curse? That's just what happens when you die ever in Demon Souls. Like in Demon Souls.
What did curse do again?
Curse restores you with your max health is half.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, pre-patch, when Dark Souls just came out for the first time on PS3 and 360, you could get cursed multiple times and have it stack.
Get double cursed.
So you could get triple and quadruple cursed. It was like stupid, so they patched it out.
Did curse in 3 just kill you?
Oh, I don't know.
Because there's one status effect in 3. There's enemies called like basilisks, where they're one of the enemies, and they like shoot a breath attack, and if you
well, when you die with curse, you get max health. But yes, if you get cursed, it will kill you, even in Dark Souls 1. Yeah, so because you see your body turn like stone or crystal and grow all these spikes on it. If you go back to where you died, you'll see your spiked over body, and you could break it like an object, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, it's not cool because like I have to pay the curse tax right now if I want to get out of curse status. But my thought on it was I want to explore that area first thoroughly, so just in case I don't want to get cursed a second time and have to pay the curse tax to remove it.
Well, have you removed it the first time?
No.
then nothing will happen if you get cursed a second time. You'll die.
That's my point.
That's
my point. Is I don't want to pay 3,000 souls for nothing.
To
just get cursed again.
Well, the thing with curse is like you could stand in the mist for like a second, just get the hell out of there. Like just don't be surrounded by these things.
Well,
ever.
I just got overwhelmed. I didn't know. I didn't know what was happening around me, which is it's the main problem in Dark Souls. When you go through it the first time around, you just don't know what's...
By the way, here's a fun fact. Did you ever take a look at the new Londo ruins? It's off of the down the stairs from the Firelink Shrine and down the elevator.
No, but I know where it is.
All right.
I just went down the elevator once and I was like, I should not be here.
You should not be there.
Yeah.
Although the funny thing is, there is a blacksmith there, like right when you get off. But as for the new Londo ruins, that place is populated by ghosts, and the only ways to fight ghosts are to have a weapon that specifically can hurt them, which ghosts drop. So there's that. You can
be cursed.
Yeah, or be cursed. You can also find items called transient curses that curse you without the drawback for 5 minutes, but there's a limited number of those in the game, but ghosts have a pretty decent chance of dropping them. So if you want to go through New Londo Ruins cursed, then that's the way to do it, because even if you do get a weapon that can hurt ghosts, that doesn't mean that your shield works. You must be under the influence of a transient curse or be cursed in order to block. And that includes the boss.
Wow, that's crazy.
That dungeon I mean, if you know what you're doing, if you just want to run through it, you can, but that's extremely risky.
Yeah, I think I got to that area and I got a little frustrated, and that's when I stopped playing it.
That dungeon is awful, and that is, in my opinion, the most difficult boss in the game.
Gotcha. I'm in the depths right now, and I have beaten the giant rat and both butchers.
The giant rat was like a joke boss. If you fall on it and stab it, it just dies. But it'll knock you out if you try fighting if it hits you for real.
So I said to myself, I don't really want to go down there and see what it does to me. So I shot arrows at it until it died.
Oh, so, you could just, depending where you came from, if you came from the area where you could fall onto it, you could just like insta-kill it with a fall strike.
Okay.
I find that interesting because that's kind of similar to me with Bloodborne, where when I first would see a new enemy, I would be like really careful with it. But then like after I beat it a few times, I would just like rush in because I know exactly what to do to kill it.
Oh yeah, exactly. And that's the beauty of the game. Like you find yourself getting more skilled as you go. And the depths, for the most part, isn't a terrible dungeon. It kind of looks worse than it is. But man, like I said, when you do find that boss, it is a spectacle. And by the way, you can cut off its tail for a unique weapon as well.
Wow. I want the new boss. You mean
the boss of the depths? Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm really excited to go through this because I just freed the pyromancer that's down there.
Oh, Laurentius. Yeah. Well, he's how you become a pyromancer. Like I know you're playing as a pyromancer, but you don't have jack shit. But Laurentius will teach you most of what you need to know.
Yeah, so I need to go find him in the swamps now, I think, is where he sets up shop.
No. You're all right. He's in Firelink.
Oh, he's at Firelink.
He's in Firelink. Now,
cool.
there will come a point where when you go to the swamps, there's a particular pyromancer you could find there. And he'll be like, oh my god, where'd you get that? Can you tell me where? And if you tell him where, then he will go to the swamps and turn hollow and try to kill you. But it's okay to do that. There's another pyromancer who could teach you who is past the boss of the swamps. But I would recommend that you become... Ooh, I forgot how this worked. I want to say level 10 pyromancy before you do anything else, because there's a person who does set up shop in the swamps who teaches you some of the craziest pyromancies in the game, but she only appears if you're level 10 or up. Otherwise, she's just not going to be there.
Gotcha. Well, I've already killed the crestfallen soldier, and
you lost nothing.
Yeah, and apparently he becomes hollow later on and tries to kill you, so that was like apparently kind of a
yeah.
okay
Just
thing.
as you progress through the game, he eventually just pieces out, and when you get to the New Londo Ruins area, he'll just rush you, and you're like, "What?" And you kill him, and he doesn't even drop anything, just like the souls. It's like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I killed the first merchant, the undead merchant.
Yeah, well,
so,
you get a free Uchigatana if you do that.
That's what I did.
There's
yeah,
there's one other way to get an Uchigatana in the game, and it's just by a different shopkeeper, and it's like whatever.
Yeah, so I've dispatched 2 NPCs, friendly NPCs so far, but there's also the betrayer, what's his face, the guy who kills the firekeeper of Firelink Shrine.
And
he's still alive.
Obviously openly evil. Keep in mind, once you beat. Ooh, I forgot if it's when you beat the depths.
You ring the second bell is what I.
It heard. Is when you ring the second bell. Okay, so you still have some time. Keep in mind, if you want to kill him, now's the chance, because if you don't and you ring that second bell, then you can get him later. But until that point, if he kills the Firekeeper, then you cannot use the bonfire at Firelink.
Yeah, and that's the most centralized bonfire in the whole game. So
pretty much, it's where it's your hub.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm putting some heavy thought into that on whether I want to collect his and her armor sets, because that's apparently how you get them.
Yeah, just be aware that regardless of when you want to fight this character, his scary ability is that his weapons, I think, do 100% damage even if you're blocking. So
oh
wow.
Yeah, so blocking,
so it's all dodge rolling, huh?
Yeah, so like you won't get staggered if you block, but you'll still take full damage. So it's not even dodge rolling, it is fucking learning to parry. I don't know if you have a great shield or not, but if you do, put on your regular shield, learn to parry, because otherwise fighting that guy is just god awful.
I actually learned how to parry from the Crestfallen Soldier, is how I learned how to do it.
Another thing you need to watch out for is, if memory serves, this guy also knows how to parry. He dual wields, so if you ever see him suddenly walk slowly and start circle strafing you and looking like he's blocking, don't touch him. Wait for him to be in attack mode. Let him come to you and parry, or else you will be in a world of hurt.
That's like those knights at the beginning of the game where they like point their sword at you. You do not want to hit them when they're doing that.
The Baldur knights. Yeah, the rapier guys. Yeah, so he's like that. So
they're the first difficult like enemies in the game that you come into contact with. So
especially because the first couple you meet are in like really narrow hallways.
Well, yeah, and you can accidentally run into a situation in which you aggro a whole bunch of them, and then you're like, "Fuck." This.
Oh, in the front of the parish, there's like 3 of them. Yeah, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, so I just quickly wanted to mention this because, I know you guys know a bunch about the series, and it finally stuck this time when I played it, you know what I mean? Like, I tried playing it a couple times, and it didn't stick, you know? Mm-hmm. So, it finally stuck this time, and I'm actually playing it for good. I'm like, this is the game I'm playing. So, and I'm getting a hang of it. Like, I'm not getting frustrated like I used to. So, it's becoming
as
a fun experience.
As a reminder, even if you do screw yourself out of something, like, you physically are incapable of getting everything in the game on the first playthrough anyway. The only time you should be bothered is if you lose an item that, like, you wanted for your character. Otherwise, it's just swag.
So, New Game Pluses carry over items and levels? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think that carries over everything except for, like, plot items. So, like, your keys will be gone.
The difficulty of everything.
Yes, enemies will do more damage and have more health, but also give you a proportionally larger amount of souls.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because if they didn't, then, like, you're going to find it's going to cost, like, 75,000 souls to level up, so, like, you need the extra drop.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I did want to talk about a couple timely items here. This will be pretty quick, but a legend has passed away, Aretha Franklin, last week. I know her mostly from the Blues Brothers movie, but
yeah, that's where I first saw her face.
Sure. And she was a legend in the disco era, and really a very influential singer and
unbelievable voice.
Hell of a talent. But she means a lot to a lot of people, so I did want to mention her passing. She had been sick for a long time. She had diabetes and was suffering badly from it. And I assume she passed because of complications thereof. She died a little on the young side. She was in her mid-70s, so she wasn't super old. So it's a shame. It's a big shame. And so there are a couple things I wanted to talk about here. Dead Cells, I did want to talk about a little bit more. We talked about it last week, but we have a different mix of people on here. So I had actually just picked this up for Pyro's birthday. So
yeah, I was actually so I have been thinking about what games I want to play now since I just beat, what game was it? Some game on my Vita that was taking me a long time. It was an RPG, and I'm like, I need some more shorter games. And I know that I've always really been into Metroidvanias, and I heard that Dead Cells was a good, Metroidvania, but also roguelike kind of game, so I wanted to pick that up eventually. I've been playing Odin Sphere, which I guess you could kind of also say is a Metroidvania in some way.
That game's so beautiful.
Yeah, and I was really thinking of picking up Dead Cells, so then when Vice got it for me for my birthday, I was like, well, awesome. I was thinking of getting it for PC, but he got it for me for PS4, but still I was playing it today for a little bit. I had a run that lasted really long because I managed to get a sword that bleeds the enemies, and I got this other item that it's not like a grenade. It's it launches this thing that connects to the ceiling that shoots projectiles at enemies. It made it really easy because enemies that were too difficult, I just jump in the room, throw that, and duck out of the room until it pings them to death. And until I got to the second boss, who killed me because obviously I wasn't prepared for that. But yeah.
So that was the bridge, right? The bridge boss.
No, the clock tower boss.
Clock tower boss. Wow, you're further than me. Wow.
Yeah, I just really quickly got. I think it's because I beat the concierge, which I think is one of the first bosses you can fight. And then I made my way to the clock tower, and when I got to that boss, I got it down to half health, but I wasn't powerful enough, and I died. But it's really cool because just what was that game, Rogue Legacy? There's things you can unlock, so you're more powerful the next time. It's not necessarily as easy as Rogue Legacy, I would say, because you really only... So the only things that I've noticed you unlock with your basically souls is more flasks, kind of like Estus flasks, let's say, and the ability to carry more money when you die, and better random starting equipment. There aren't, and the other things you can unlock are items that you can permanently find in a dungeon. So in terms of making your life easier, it's more like Dark Souls, where you really need to get your skill level up more so than just playing enough.
Sure, but it's kind of like Isaac in that you unlock new things to find.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like Isaac and Enter the Gungeon in that you are unlocking the chance to find better equipment.
Yeah.
So your first few runs, you're either going to get very lucky or you're going to be ill-equipped because the stuff that's available is not the base stuff that's available isn't very helpful. What I found in that game is that status effect weapons are awesome in that game.
Burn and bleed are really, really useful.
Yeah, and all of your weapons, when you die, you start off at a baseline stats. Again, you level up as you go. You find scrolls where you can level up either ferocity,
it's brutality, tactics, and survival.
Yeah. So each weapon has a category in which it follows, or a mix of categories. So red weapons are brutality, green are survival, and
purple are tactics.
Purple are tactics. So it does encourage you in some way to level them up equally, because you get more health that way. You get more health each time you level up that way.
Yeah, the more times you pick the same color, the less HP gain you'll get from that one. But for every time that you pick that color, for instance, in the beginning, you can level up any of the skills once. They'll each increase the damage you do with those color weapons by 15%. So if you pick brutality, red weapons will do 15% more damage, purple for tactic, etc. But also, they'll each give you, let's say, 50% increase. But if you pick brutality, next time you level, the brutality would still give you 50% increase with damage, but it might only give you, let's say, 20% increase with health. Or the other two would still be giving you 50% because you haven't leveled those stats up yet.
Exactly. Now, if you have a mix of weapons that is slanted in one which way or another, and you already have a lot of HP anyway, you may as well just level up with your loadout. So there are some weapons that actually level up regardless of color too. There are gold ones.
That was why I was lucky, because the one that I got that I could launch to the ceiling was a yellow weapon, which would just increase whatever stat was highest, which was really, really useful, because all my weapons that I was using that run were red or yellow, so I could just increase red, and I was getting enough health that I had a decent amount at that time. But yeah, it's a really neat system that, depending on what weapons get dropped, you might change what stats you want to increase, and just play around with what you have. And I think it's cool because the downtime from when you die to starting a new run isn't that long. The longest part is just being able to get through the dungeon, because it's not as much like Castlevania, but imagine Castlevania where when you die you have to start from the very beginning of the game.
Ugh.
And you had to explore the dungeon again. The map is cleared because it randomized the map, which sounds kind of gross, but it's quick enough and the battle system is fluid enough that it's not a big of a deal. Because also, Castlevania, you know how each map is actually, let's say room is actually kind of small, so you have to go between doors, just like in Metroid. But in Dead Cells, each map you could the whole map of that area is one room. So the clock tower is all one room, quote unquote. There's doors you go through, but there's no loading between rooms, so going through the clock tower area is actually pretty quick. And there's teleports, so if you go one way and realize you missed something, you can find a teleport, quickly teleport there, check that out, go back.
Nice.
It's really well done in the fact that I don't feel granted, after that 50-minute run, dying, I'm just okay, that's a lot of progress lost there, but it's still quick enough that it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah. In fact, the combat is so much fun to partake in. It's snappy and just fluid, that if it doesn't feel like a chore, oh man, I have to slog through this, I have to parry this guy and dodge roll past him and all this other stuff. You don't get me wrong, there are enemies in which you have to be very cautious around, at certain points in the game, depending on what you have and all that kind of stuff, but you learn how to deal with them quickly. So it's neat that you can run through that initial level no problem. After your first couple runs, you can get through that without dying very consistently.
Yeah, and I thought that overall the enemies aren't that bad, especially because whether or not it's the weapon I was using or whatever, but if you hit enemies enough times, sometimes they get knocked out. Mm-hmm. So you can just pile on the damage. So it really comes to be a problem when enemies have more health than you can do quickly before they start attacking you. Also, I turned on in the options, you can turn on the fact that an exclamation point popped over their head when they're about to attack you. which is really easy to get used to, like rolling out of the way. Also because some enemies have like weird attack patterns. So one of the first enemies you fight, let's say they're like zombies, they can jump at you from a distance, but at first I was timing it wrong where I was dodging right when I saw the exclamation point, but that's basically when they just reeled back a little bit. So I'd dodge and then they'd jump at me. So whether or not I turn it off, I don't know, but it really helps you get used to those patterns. And then there's this one area that I was in that you fight these like pirate skeleton guys, they're like have with big cannons, which are really annoying because from a distance they shoot cannonballs at you that explode on contact. But if you get too close to them, they just wail on you with their cannons. And it's just like, it was annoying because I would get close enough to them to attack them a few times, but then they just wail on me with a cannon. But if I ran away, they'd shoot at me. So those are the ones that I was lucky that I had that one weapon that let me fire at them from a distance, because up close, those guys are a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I would say that they're one of the first like regular enemies that you should be very cautious around. Because they can wreck you just from like one melee hit. So and health pickups are not a thing in this game. Your Estus flask or your equivalent, it's called a flask in the game, so it's definitely taking a page from Dark Souls. Your flask is your only real way of gaining health. Now, in between each levels, you can refill it. So you start from square one with your flask between levels, so that's a good thing. But there are barely any pickups. There's wall meat here and there, but it generally doesn't pop up a whole lot. So there are some definite blatant Castlevania references too. Like I think that the song, one song just sounds almost like
the Clock Tower song sounds just like the Clock Tower song in Castlevania. Also, in the options, you have
Bloody Tears shows up too.
I forget what the name of the option is, but it's like dietary restrictions or something like that, and you choose that like the food that pops up can be default Metroidvania or like Castlevania, vegan, fruit. So like whenever you have food, I picked Castlevania, so it was like a turkey leg, whereas if it was fruit, it might be like some grapes you pick up, and if it's vegan, I don't know. I haven't tried that one out yet. It was pretty funny though.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it definitely wears its inspirations on its sleeve, but to be honest, it does it in a very stylish and fun way that it doesn't. It's not like it's copying. It's doing its own thing too. I love it. I think it's a great game. I'm gonna continue to play it. Since I beat Enter the Gungeon with one character, I kind of grown a little bit cold on it because I can continue playing the game, but like
I've seen an ending.
Well, I performed the major task in the game. It's all downhill from here. Like it'll be easier to perform all the rest of the tasks.
Well, not only that, but it's like now do it again with a different character. And it's like, all right.
Yeah, so I'll continue playing that game, occasionally here and there because I like it and it's a fun game to play on a regular basis. But I'm happy to have another game here that is of that ilk to start from the beginning again, So I'm really enjoying it. I'm glad you're enjoying it too, Pyro.
I'm really enjoying it.
I think it's one of the better games that's come out in a little while, and I think it's probably one of the better indie games that's come out in a little bit. A lot of the indie games that I've been playing lately are like the Switch version of an indie game that's been popular for a while. Like Salt and Sanctuary, it has been around for a couple years now, and so Enter the Gungeon's been around for a couple years. So this is kind of like the first time I'm playing like an indie game right when it came out, like on the system that I wanted to play it on. So very good. I'm playing both that and Dark Souls right now. I don't know what that says about me that I want to play two very punishing games at the same time. But that's just the way the cookie crumbled. Maybe I'm a masochist at this point, but I'm really enjoying it. Any final words on that, Pyro?
No, it's just I thanks for getting it for me, and I think that I'm gonna have trouble beating Odin Sphere now because I'm gonna have to be and playing more Final Fantasy 14 because I'm gonna have to divvy my time up more. But it's really fun, and I can see it. I think the way that I can see it being done is do like a run or two a day or so I don't get burned out, depending on how long they are. Because the thing is, it depends. If I do a run a day, they could be short runs, and I'm like frustrated. But if I tell myself I'm gonna play for just like an hour, then it could be that I'm really far into a run and I don't want to stop. But yeah, it's gonna be really fun, and I will definitely keep playing it.
Well, what's good is just like Isaac has this. There are daily challenges too, and you can unlock things by doing the daily challenges too.
I tried one of those, and I got destroyed because I fought these golems that just like felt really cheap. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that you could try them like unlimited times during the day. So
yeah.
That's nice, because in Isaac you get one try. I mean, you could replay the challenge and not have it count, but you only get one try to get the thing.
So they basically let you keep playing it until you accomplish it, and
nice.
If that one's too hard, you can wait for the next day to come. So,
Sure. Well, no, I appreciate that forgiveness, because it's so that was what was so stressful about the beat the Isaac dailies 5 days in a row. Because if you lose, you lost. Too bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's good is this game had a long time baking in the oven. It was in early access for a while, and they were probably fine tuning these things. They were like, what do you guys like about Isaac and don't like about Isaac? That kind of thing. So, I think this is the better way to do it. I mean, you shouldn't be locked out of a daily just because you failed it once. You should be able to play it as much as you like.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't agree with that decision. So, I did want to bring up that I think Pyro said this, that Steam TV got leaked. The fact that Steam is releasing essentially their own streaming service.
I didn't actually see how it was leaked or who leaked it, but I did. All I really heard about it was that it was kind of like their answer to Twitch TV, which could be interesting. I mean, on one hand, a lot of people like Steam. On one hand, a lot of people don't like Steam. I think one of the benefits of Steam TV is the fact that it'll all be built in. So it's like I could see it being really useful, because if it works how I'm expecting, you could be playing a game and just like press go to the shift escape, I think it is, that goes into the Steam overlay, turn on the streaming, and just start streaming whatever you're playing, which would be really cool.
No, that really would, especially because, I mean, there are other streaming services, like YouTube. You could stream on YouTube as well, but as far as, official streams, Twitch has pretty much just, owned everything in that regard. All the, professional streams and things like that are on Twitch, as far as video games are concerned, the Overwatch League, Evo, Games Done Quick, all that stuff is being done on Twitch. So if there's an actual competitor, that would be something interesting indeed. Yeah.
So my thought is Lotus is really the only one who streams here, and you do it on YouTube, right?
That's right.
And you found that it works best for your purposes, right?
Well, I mean, I haven't tried streaming on Twitch. It's just that, people I don't post my content on Twitch, and also I'm streaming now. I post on YouTube, so I just figure it's easy for me and for the viewers to not have to jump to another platform. Yeah. It's one thing to drop a link. It's another to have YouTube just notify the people, hey, I see you're using YouTube. By the way, he's streaming right now as well. They don't have to go anywhere. They don't have to hope they catch my link on Twitter or something, if they even follow me on Twitter. With YouTube, it just tells you.
Yeah, I think that I've always wanted to kind of do some streaming, but I just don't have the time for it in my current situation. As my career evolves and things like that, I think eventually I'll get to the point where I can do it pretty regularly, maybe for an hour or two each week, and play things like Enter the Gungeon and Dead Cells. Those are perfect games to stream. I mean, Isaac is a great streamable game. Yeah, and people will love watching them because it's like a spectator sport. Like, oh man, what's he gonna get? Is he gonna get a nice synchronization going, or I've had a couple moments in Dead Cells where like things really synced up. Like it made me that much more powerful because of
Yeah, and Isaac has some pretty sweet combinations too.
Yeah, and like because it'd be good if some people were just watching it to like not even if your plan was to beat the game, but just to see your progress on it and
oh yeah, and
like see how far you get that day.
And depending what you're doing, you might not even need to do mic commentary. It's just like if you want to see a game being played, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my thought is, Lotus, you have the most experience in this regard, but what would you like out of Steam TV that YouTube isn't providing you? What convenience would you like from it?
I would say probably more than anything else, less or no delay from what I see on my TV and what YouTube sees. Because there will be cases where I'm playing a game and I have a decision to make, like a dialogue option. And I'll be like, okay, YouTube chat, what should I select? And I have to wait like 25 seconds to get an answer because, or maybe not that much, but 25. Like that is one thing I'll give a major shout out to Twitch for. It is not nearly as much of a pain in the ass in terms of delay. Not to mention, even if I wanted to record a Let's Play with you guys, like I would either have to share my screen via Skype where you don't get sound, or I could stream. But if I streamed to you via YouTube, it would just be a bitch because like our banter would be off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think Twitch or YouTube has it where multiple people can participate in a stream in projecting a stream, right? Like like the three of us do our podcast over Skype, right?
Yep.
Right. Wouldn't it be neat if the three of us could put on a stream that other people could watch, but the three of us were cool. All talking and presenting it?
Yeah, that might be something where either, I mean, obviously we need to be in the same room and stream from one location, or I don't even like. There's probably a way to do this, but I honestly haven't even found out how. But if maybe one of us could have video, and then you could at least get the audio of the other person, but I don't know quite how to do that.
No, but wouldn't it be really neat if, like, just like Skype is doing right now?
Yeah, if you could stream a live podcast or something.
Well, so Skype has a way of showing all three of our faces right now with our webcams.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be really neat if it could if it could split screen all of our playing windows?
That would be
so
cool.
People could watch it.
That
would be really neat.
That would be difficult to do though, because all three of us, or however many of us, would have to stream, but like to the same stream, like all of us are like that. Like I don't know how that would
like
even
a
work.
lobby system. It would be like a lobby system.
Okay.
So people would sign into our lobby, and then we would present from our lobby.
I see.
But I would think that Steam TV would be like Valve would be at the forefront in trying to make stuff like that happen. At least not that idea. If not that idea, something similar, because they're very tech savvy and thinking about conveniences. Mm-hmm. Now, I do have faith that it will be a good product, because Valve, for whatever you have to say about them in terms of customer service, is one of their major flaws that people complain about. And the other thing is their major faltering, I guess, would be the anti-piracy stuff. But that is not a super big thing for a lot of people. Some people, it is a huge topic.
Yeah, like, that's my primary reason for using GOG. Like, if there's something that only exists on Steam, like Isaac, then not to mention Isaac revolves around achievements anyway. So like, okay, sure. I get it. But like, if I ever see the same exact game on Steam and GOG, I will pass up a Steam sale and wait for GOG to have a discount of some kind.
Sure. I totally get that, and I get your stance on that, but that's more of an ideological thing than
it doesn't.
They are directly pissing you off by doing something.
That's the thing.
Right?
I will admit I'm not actively hindered by Steam's DRM stuff. Maybe having Steam open will take up my RAM or something, but like other than that, I'm not being prevented from playing the game. But no, GOG sells me the game. Steam sells me permission to play it. So that's a little unfair. I would say maybe PSN sells me permission to play it, but still, GOG is just like, here's the game, we're done.
Well, I think this is a whole different conversation too.
It is.
I mean, not only the exact thing you're talking about, but for all we know, if there came to be a time when we would lose access to a game, Steam would just be like, all right, you have a few months, download it. I think they use their version of what you're saying is their DRM because they wanted to use their service. But yes. I really think that they would be more than willing if it was either if you weren't going to be able to play their game anyway, that they wouldn't mind if you downloaded a copy onto your computer.
Yeah. And actually, from what I've heard, if for some reason Steam should ever shut down permanently, I think they would allow you to just get the games that you've bought. So
that's an insanely unlikely situation at this point.
I don't see that happening, but if for some reason it should happen, it's not like, oh, all of your games are gone. So I think there is that to be said. So it's not anti-gamer or anything, but still I just don't like the MRM principle.
I guess my point is that Valve has always been really good about an open platform.
Yes.
Despite all those two criticisms, they have always been adamant about, hey, you use our service on whatever you want. We're not going to restrict you. You also can use for instance, with their stance on the Vive, they put out the Vive, right? For virtual reality headsets.
I think so, yeah.
Oculus was like, well, you have to buy games from our service and you can't use the Vive. Well, they were the exact opposite. They said, hey, you can come and use the Oculus for any of our VR games. Go ahead. Please do.
It's a demonstration of goodwill. It would get me more likely to buy the Vive again on principle. Yeah, I don't like it when people try shutting people out even though they're buying the same games. Nope, our set only. It's dude, come on. Proprietary software and hardware, I think people are starting to become more aware that that's more of a hindrance than a benefit, especially because number one, you lose crossplay. That's probably the biggest thing. But also, however many years down the line, I shouldn't have to go hunt for an antique to be able to play a game, Sure. It's just like the PlayStation Vita. Why can't I just use an SD card? And then the Switch comes out, and it's here, just put a card in it. It's thank you, that's all I wanted.
Yeah, I would say that was my primary reasoning behind being mostly a PC gamer, is because I knew that in 10 years I would still be able to play these games. For N64,
go buy an N64 memory card.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's evolved a little bit because, hey, I want to play games on Switch now because the Switch is an amazing device. Now, I think there are going to be competitors to the Switch now. They see why it's catching on. There is no reason why other companies cannot make a Switch and even improve upon it. So I have a feeling that the PS5 is going to have a similar component. If not the main system, an option to play it like the Switch. As a secondary option. That kind of thing. I feel like somebody eventually is going to come out with a Windows-based system like that as well, like the Switch. I hope, because I would love to play a Windows-based machine like that.
Well, you could pick up your Dreamcast and take it anywhere you want with Windows CE.
I could play my VMU wherever I want.
you could download those extra fights in Skies of Arcadia Legends.
I can run out of watch batteries constantly.
Yeah.
But I did want to mention that. I think it'll be interesting to see. Of course, Valve has had some failures. Steam OS was an utter failure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for. I had built my computer specifically so it could dual boot into Steam OS, and then I basically was like, "This is stupid. I'm not doing that." So I took out the partition once I did that, because it was supposed to be a better OS, and maybe it technically is, but nobody's gonna build anything for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Betamax. Like,
I was literally gonna say that.
It's like Betamax. It's better, but like, what can you watch on it? Like, nothing. So who gives a shit?
It's like HD DVDs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, HD DVDs actually weren't as good as Blu-ray. That was a thing. So.
Oh, okay.
But same concept. Same concept. So the only other thing I wanted to mention this week is, are you guys familiar with the series Star Control at all?
No.
I know the name and nothing else.
Okay. So Star Control was a series of 3 games, the most famous being Star Control 2. So imagine Mass Effect before Mass Effect was a thing, to give you an idea of the scope of it.
This is PC, right?
Yes. Well, the original Star Control was on PC, but it was also on Genesis. Okay. On the Sega Genesis, or Mega Drive for our buddies across the pond. But the first game centered around basically just fighting each other in a similar style to the first video game. What was that called? Starflight, or one of the very first video games, was where basically 2 ships just floated around trying to shoot each other. I forget what it was called.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember the name either.
It's basically, imagine Asteroids, but 2-player. Okay? All right. So essentially, the whole series revolved around that. That mechanic of you have a playing field in space that is top down, and there's inertia, and you fight each other with various abilities depending on what ship you pick. Okay? So the first one was a neat game. It had a cool storyline going on in the background, that kind of thing. But it was ultimately a pretty simple game. The second game is very revolutionary. The second game also was one of the best versions of it was actually on the 3DO. For a long time, it was the killer app for the 3DO. Until they made a special edition freeware version of the game called the Urcon Masters on PC. You would want to play that version of the game because it has like all kinds of different languages and options and quality of life stuff in it. It's a really great freeware remake of the second game. But the second game basically starts off by saying humans lost the war that was happening in Star Control 1. So, like, you may have won when you played, but you didn't.
Oh, that's like Warcraft, right? Like when you play Warcraft 2, it's like, by the way, the orcs won, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, exactly. So I love it when games do that. It's like, oh, remember that thing you did? That was the extremely unlikely.
The bad ending was the canonical ending. Yeah.
So the bad ending was the canonical ending, and what happens is you are the last human colony who happen to find a planet with a factory on it that can make starships, and it has enough juice in it to make one starship to get you back home. And that colony of humans makes it back to Earth, and Earth is enslaved by the Urcons, who are like evil space caterpillars.
Now that I think about it, I think you mentioned this on like one of our earliest podcasts.
Now this game is awesome. It was made by Toys for Bob, who made the Skylanders games. You would know them from that. So this was a really cool game because it the majority of the game was actually diplomacy, like talking to other starships, trying to either get them to join you or to fight them. So it was very much like playing a real Star Trek game, but it had a lot of personality.
Well, it sounds like Master of Orion.
Yeah, very similar. So there are different races you can encounter. Some of them are immediately hostile. Some of them you have to win over. Some of them are neutral. Some of them you have to do missions for in order to win their favor.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the very first missions that you have to do is try to liberate the moon, like Earth's moon. And they're all downtrodden because they're all, like, you know, enslaved by the Urkons. So they're willing to give it a shot with you because they have run out of supplies and the Urkons are not supplying them, like they should be. So it's a lot of fun. It's really great. Each race has a distinct personality, and there's a fair amount of humor and charm in the game. So I definitely recommend playing the Urkon Masters. You just type it into to Google Star Control 2 Urkon Masters. It'll pop right up. Just put U after Star Control 2. It'll pop right up. You can download it for free in all the packs, all the languages and everything. And it's a lot of fun. It's a blast. You can even play the 2-player mode, which is essentially like Star Control 1. So anyway, it's like Mass Effect in that it has that charm. All those species have their own personalities and all that stuff and quirks. So there was a third game, but it wasn't as received well. I don't think it was made by the original people. So fast forward to now, there is a fourth game about to be made. It is not made by the original people, and they are actively fighting with the original people on it.
Oh, wow.
And this is a beloved game, so it's not going over well with the fan base of the of Star Control 2, because this is a beloved game made by cool people, and they are shitting all over the cool people. Not only that, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with Gamergate stuff, but Adam Baldwin was asked to be a voice in the new Star Control.
That's such a weird thing to do.
So Adam Baldwin, for people that don't know, was on Firefly. That's how he got famous, but he was a big contributor to how Gamergate got started. Now, despite, you know, your own politics on how that's involved, it was started up in a very sexist and condescending way, in my opinion. So, asking that guy that started it all to be in your game is actively saying you don't care about the people that care that he's in your game.
Yeah.
In fact, it's an active slap in the face. And it's probably a power move to the fan base of the original game, which is ridiculous. Why would you fight the people that you want to attract?
Well, that's the thing. I was gonna say, like, well, if you're alienating the fans of Star Control, then who's gonna buy Star Control?
It's ridiculous. There aren't newbies that want to play this game. You want people like me to play it.
That's the thing. Like, if you're the one making the game, it's like, it's just for me and no one else, and I have the rights, and no one else will play it. Like, okay, thanks for that.
So they're actively legally, like, in a legal battle with the original guys, and the original guys just want, like, essentially free reign to continue publishing, like, Urkon Masters as freeware, and for them never to hinder them.
Yeah.
And they're actively, like, suing them, you know, over control over the IP. And it's ridiculous. They've been doing the freeware version of this game for years, and making updates to it just so people can play the game. They're not charging for it. They're not making money off of it. They're just letting people play it. And they're continuing to improve the game over the years. Because they love it. It's a big part of video game history, especially for PC owners and 3DO owners. So it's a really big shame that it's happening, and even the biggest fans of Star Control are starting to lose complete interest in the new game. When this day and age, a game like that could have a huge fan base. I mean, just as long as you come up with more races and good writing and good mechanics, like that type of game is in vogue right now. Everybody loves story-driven games now.
Yeah,
it's not like it used to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, during the Genesis era, it's like, don't bog me down with text, I want to jump on Goombas or whatever. Like, some people did enjoy some of the heavier stories, but, like, some games like that were, like, too much for, like, back when Nintendo and Sega Genesis were considered systems where you're supposed to sit down and play for, like, 30-40 minutes and then you're done.
Yeah, I just think it's a bad scene, and I'm not saying I don't want the game to do well, but I kind of just don't care about it. And,
yeah, like it seems to me like it would be nice if the game itself did well, if it were like a properly made game, but maybe you don't want its current creators to do well.
It's one of those things like, hey, you know, I'm also sad that the like it's an old series that's finally being revived, and like this is what I got. Like this is what you're handing me.
It's
like,
it's Stone Keep Bones of the Ancestors all over again. Finally, a new Stone Keep.
Yeah,
son of a bitch.
I didn't have any ideological problems with Interplay. You know what I mean? Like I.
No, yeah, that was just a bad game in the end.
Like I don't like. The really shitty thing is, what if this game turns out to be awesome? And I'm like, oh, they shat all over the original guys, and they're a bunch of dickweeds, but the game is good too. But yeah, I somehow doubt it. I somehow doubt it, because I would want to believe that the kind of people that would put the quality and time into this project wouldn't shit all over the original creators.
Yeah.
Because they would want to respect it. But because they knew what made the original game special, that would be my guess. But it's a weird situation, and I kind of wanted to bring it up because Kurt Collada had posted about it on Twitch under his Hardcore Gaming 101 handle there, and there's a bunch of articles that he posted. I recommend following him on Twitter just to read the articles that he posted, and go to the website of the guys who created Star Control 2, because you could see their account of how the new company is treating them. Mm-hmm. So I recommend that people look into it. Of course, make their own opinions, of course. But it's something that kind of makes me mad, because, you know, what if all of a sudden, like, really shitty people got a hold of Zelda or Metroid or something, and and basically wanted to destroy the original creators' reputations and stuff. That would be awful. And so this is a very important game. It's on some people's like top 100 games of all time list. The second game was a groundbreaking game that meant a lot to a lot of people, and it just sucks that this is the legacy of that.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I have to say on this. Any final remarks for Recon, guys?
No, I'm good.
Nope.
Okay. Well, I think we had a really good discussion on those topics. That is the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. Also, keep it up with the comments and questions, guys. We dropped a little low in the last week. I wanted to see a little bit more activity. And we'll of course react, because this is Reactive Consciousness. You can also catch us on Thursday on our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. Finally, you can find me as vysethebold on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, Twitter, Switch, and Battle.net.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in on a Discord chat with me and other patrons, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/Lotus Prince.
And you can find me as Cloudoid540 or PyroJackFrost on PSN, Battle.net, Steam, and yeah, I think that's it.
Where all PyroJackFrosts are sold.
Yes. Target, right. Walmart.
Yeah, perfect.
Walgreens, Woolworths.
Woolworths.
The 5 and dime.
Sears and Roebuck.
All right, we'll catch you on Thursday, everyone.
Until next time, everyone.
Next time.